Raw Takes and Company, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Day late today, but we figured, with the trade deadline coming up a day later with the NBA, we had a lot to get to there. And obviously, we have big Super Bowl predictions today. We would have a little bit of a later show, so it's all going to work out the way it is. It's Andrew Hody with you. Jake Malenzik to my left. Matthias is off tonight. He might join us later. We'll see, but for now, he is off. Jake, how are you?
I'm good. Doing well. Happy we still got the show in this week. Would have been tough to miss
Hmm.
Super Bowl week. Huge week for
Well, we
sports
couldn't.
podcasts everywhere. But yeah, you can't miss it. It's my
And the
favorite,
Super
one of
Bowl
my
week.
favorite days of the whole year.
We are going to be doing the Super Bowl reaction show next week after the big game takes place. And then the following week, we're actually going to take a week hiatus. Now, before we get things going as well, I want anyone who's a viewer in Northeast Ohio to know about this. This is courtesy of our friends at Window and Bath Expo, the company I work for. Now, this is not a sponsored advertisement or anything, so I also want to make sure I got that out there to clear it out of the way. But we are doing a giveaway at Window and Bath Expo for an Amazon gift card. So I'm going to go over that with everybody here real quick. If you're a Northeast Ohio viewer and you would like a chance at let me check everything here just to make sure. Yep, a $500 Amazon gift card. Predict the final score of the Seahawks and Patriots in the big game this week. If you predict the winning team, you get a chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. Here's how to enter. You comment the final score on Bath Expo and Window Expo's Facebook and Instagram post on social media. Give us a follow as well. Include the winning team. Make sure to give us that follow too. And the first person who guesses the exact final score first and follows us on Facebook or Instagram will win. Entries close at kickoff at 6:30 this upcoming Sunday. So if you want a chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card, check out our post. I will leave it in the links below with our social media page.
It's a big deal.
Courtesy of everybody at Window and Bath Expo. So,
It's a lot of money.
yep.
I
Uh,
could go for that. Can
my
I enter?
father's
Is that allowed?
company. Hey, if you want to enter, Jake, go right ahead.
I don't know the rules, but I could
My
go for
father's company, the company
$500.
I work for too, Window Bath Expo. We do windows, bathrooms, and entry doors in Northeast Ohio. Now, as I
And
said,
you
that is
do
not an
making people,
advertisement.
you make people rich,
You
apparently.
can win a $500 Amazon gift
That's
card.
pretty
That's the
good.
big thing. Yep. So the links are going to be in the description below. That is not an advertisement. As I mentioned before, that is just a giveaway we're doing up here in Northeast Ohio. Check us out on social media. We would really, really appreciate it. And heck, you could have a shot at a $500 Amazon gift card. So we're all about giving
You
back to the
you
community.
texted that to Matthias and I, and you said, "Oh, it's an Amazon gift card." I was not expecting $500. That's pretty. That's pretty
$500
wild. That's
Amazon gift
awesome.
card.
I
Jake,
was
if you
thinking, oh,
want a
like
chance, if
25
you want to
bucks.
compete with Jake, go right ahead and
I'm gonna
comment.
enter people, so you better get your A game going because we all know who the champ at picking these games is. He's right sitting right here. All right.
Hmm.
We never did final scores or anything like that, but
Hmm.
I got one up here. I'll put it in the comments. If you beat me, congratulations. I'm not giving you anything, but they will.
Hmm.
I'll give you I will, if you get it correct, we'll also give you a shout out on this podcast. That's my
Yes.
guarantee. You will
Courtesy of
definitely,
us on Raw Takes and
that's
Co.
sweet to guess that correctly.
Hey, we love giving shout outs away here on Raw Takes and Company. Anthony J. Hody, in fact, likes to comment a lot, and so does our buddy I Love DK Metcalf, right?
What a guy.
He has a
What
new
a guy.
comment coming up, but we got to get right to the sports news, all right? So let's get going. We're going to start things off with news in Minnesota. We're not even going to pull the timer out. We're not going to spend too much time on this one. But Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, I believe I'm saying that correctly.
You got it.
Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Yep, I've said his name a few times. I wanted to make sure I rehearsed and practiced it before we started the podcast. Um, he was
Former
fired from
Browns
the
assistant.
Vikings. Yes, he was formerly with the Browns. He was fired from the Vikings, and I think we all know why. Sam Darnold made it to the Super Bowl, and Sam Darnold is not a Minnesota Viking anymore. He is a Seattle Seahawk. He was with the Minnesota Vikings last year. They let him walk in favor of J.J. McCarthy, who was the rookie quarterback that they drafted. They believed in McCarthy more in terms of the future, but it turns out that letting Sam Darnold go may have been a massive, massive mistake, and the Seattle Seahawks are reaping all the benefit of that right now. Um, I don't have anything against this move, Jake. I think this was the right call. You let a guy go of that magnitude who just took a team to a Super Bowl. I think if Seattle would have lost to San Francisco in the divisional round, his job would have been safe. I think if they would have lost in the NFC Championship, his job would have been safe because the belief would have been Sam
Probably.
Darnold probably couldn't get you the distance. And Sam Darnold didn't win really the 41-6 game against San Francisco. Sam Darnold, I mean, he played well in it, but he didn't play great. You know what I mean? Sam Darnold was all world against the Rams.
He was awesome, dude.
That was probably his best game of the year, one of them. And we need to give Sam Darnold all the credit in the world. And Sam Darnold might be a Super Bowl champion by the time it's all said and done. So to me, I cannot blame the Minnesota Vikings for this move. Now, obviously, I think this automatically puts Coach Kevin O'Connell on the hot seat, which probably rightfully so at this point. But he did take a team that was led by J.J. McCarthy, who struggled this year to 9-8. So I think he deserves some flowers there. But
He's a
again,
really good coach. I hope
he's a
they
great
don't
coach.
scapegoat him out for
It
this.
depends on how the Vikings play next year. It's going to be a new GM, obviously. Now, is it going to be Coach O'Connell's guy? That's going to be a big question. You're probably going to bring in somebody that can work with Kevin O'Connell another season, right?
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I hope Kevin O'Connell's not the scapegoat guy out of this either, but I think this instantly puts him on the hot seat. But we could talk about that in 2026 when the next season begins, and depending on how J.J. McCarthy plays, because that Vikings roster is really, really good when you look at it. They have a lot of great players on that roster. And if they had Sam Darnold the way Sam Darnold played this year, the Minnesota Vikings probably could have been in contention to win the NFC North. They were 9-8 still with J.J. McCarthy, but they probably might have won 12, 13, 14 games like Sam Darnold did this year for the Seattle Seahawks. So to me, I get why the GM was the scapegoat here. I totally understand the move. Don't blame the Vikings at all. Is it unfortunate? It is unfortunate. A man lost his job. It stinks. But at the end of the day, he made a terrible decision, and that was to let go a quarterback that was really good. And the Vikings, if they would have kept him, might have been in the situation the Seattle Seahawks are in right now. I mean, you never know. That's what the NFL is all about. But still, they let a guy go who went to the Super Bowl immediately the next year. I don't think that's the coach's fault. I think that's the GM's fault.
Yeah. And that's the biggest part of it, I think, that you hit there was if Sam Darnold makes the Super Bowl next year, no one cares. You've put
Yeah.
it past you. It's immediately the following season he goes to the Super Bowl. So it's kind of like the ownership going, oh, that's a really bad look for us. Like we just got rid of this quarterback and now he's in the Super Bowl. The only part that I didn't like about it was the timing. It just felt really late into the process. And you might be right that it's because Sam made the Super Bowl that they needed to do it, but just felt like if you were going to fire your GM, you should have done it on Black Monday or whatever when all the other teams fired their coaches and GMs. That was the only part that kind of was weird to me, but I do think you bring up a good point of like Sam Darnold making the Super Bowl makes this way easier. And if he didn't make the Super Bowl this year, but then made it next year, you're probably like, oh, that sucks, but it's not the direct correlation of him leaving.
Yeah, I get
Interesting
that.
though.
And you
I
make
was
a good
pretty.
point too. It
I was
does feel,
shocked when I saw it until I realized that okay, maybe there's some reasons.
and I get where you're coming from. It might seem late in the process and whatnot, but also, the Raiders haven't officially hired a head coach yet. I think we know who it's going to be, but like they still haven't officially done it. Some teams wait till after the Super Bowl. To me, like the process really begins with the combine, the draft, all this kind of stuff. Obviously, the Vikings have their head coach at the helm still with Kevin O'Connell, and I understand why you can't make him the scapegoat here because I don't think it was Kevin O'Connell that decided that Sam Darnold's got to go. I think that was the GM decision. And listen, J.J. McCarthy they drafted with a high draft pick, and it's very rare in the NFL you see a Trey Lance situation where you could draft a guy number 3 overall like that and then release him because you found out Mr. Irrelevant happened to be a much better quarterback than Brock Purdy. And the whole staff keeps their jobs. Like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan didn't really take heat for that because it ended up working out for them in the long run. So
Yeah, you just
yeah,
pretend Brock Purdy was the third pick and Trey Lance was the last pick, and you just you know what I mean? You're like, oh,
and they were
it's
in different
fine,
drafts. I mean,
right?
Brock
But
Purdy
you
was
just
22. Yeah.
yeah, but you're just like, oh, if you look back and say, yeah, they found their franchise quarterback. They picked one at 3 and one at 250, whatever. You would
Mhm.
just assume that they picked Purdy at 3. They just didn't. So sometimes
Yeah.
you just got to get lucky. That's
The
also
Niners
part.
got lucky.
Sometimes
That's
you
for
just
sure.
have to get lucky.
The Niners got lucky. That's for
And
sure.
the
And
the
the
Vikings kind of
Seahawks.
got unlucky a little bit because I will say
Mhm.
Sam Darnold did not play well in their playoff game last year.
No, he did
So
not.
I
Sam
think
Darnold
that,
did not play well against Detroit or LA last year, and those were the only two losses that the Vikings lost 4 games last year, but 2 of them were to Detroit and 2 of them were to the LA Rams. So,
yeah, and
yeah.
they were pretty much the playoff game was pretty much directly
Hmm.
Sam Darnold not playing well, which is also like
Yeah.
you blame him for getting rid of him after that game? No, but again, as we've talked about, like the optics are just so tough for Kwesi here. It's like he just made the Super Bowl. It's so annoying.
And the other thing too is like, the Vikings were 14-3 too. Outside of playing Detroit and LA, they beat everybody on their
Yeah,
schedule.
14 and
So
0.
they were 14-0 against anyone, not the Lions or Rams. So to me, like this year, it was a different environment for Darnold. I mean, Darnold literally, and you don't see this often in the NFL. I know we spent a little bit more time on this probably than we should have, but we did anyway, and I think it's fine because this is a really interesting situation either way. You do not see this in the NFL often where a guy literally takes exactly how he played one season and takes it somewhere else and just elevates it in the playoffs. Sam Darnold essentially played exactly like he did with the Vikings in the regular season last year, but just elevated it when it mattered most, especially in the NFC Championship. And you know what the big thing too is, and a friend of mine and I were talking about this the other day. He was 0-3 against the Rams the last 2 seasons until that second meeting with the Rams this year, and with the 2-point conversions, where the Seahawks kind of got lucky. And then
Yeah.
they didn't just get lucky the second time around in the playoffs. They beat them fair and square in regulation and won that game. So to me, like Sam Darnold certainly proved himself. I was somewhat of a doubter in Sam Darnold. I wasn't a doubter in the Seahawks making the playoffs, but I was a doubter on how far they'd get because I just didn't see Sam Darnold elevate his play in the playoffs. He proved me wrong. He deserves a ton of flowers for that. And the Seahawks are not going to make the mistake the Vikings did. I think it's damn well set that Sam Darnold's going to be their franchise quarterback.
Yeah. And I think to kind of move that, we could probably just move this right
Yeah.
into the Super Bowl conversation. Talking about Sam Darnold, one of the things that I think we highlighted on this podcast and something that I felt the whole season was,
Mhm.
especially in these playoffs, was when are we going to see bad Sam Darnold? When is that guy going to slip out and make a mistake and throw 3 interceptions and lose a game? And he didn't. He never showed up. Down the stretch of the season, he didn't show up.
No, he didn't.
In the playoffs, he hasn't showed up yet. It's kind of like that version of him doesn't exist anymore. And it's like, it's so interesting that it was like, and I remember talking about it before the Niners game in the playoffs was if they lose, it's because Sam Darnold loses it for them. And then he goes out and doesn't lose it for him. And obviously they didn't need him to even probably play in that game and they win because of the opening kickoff. But
Hmm.
it's just been such a, uh, we'll get to like the Seahawks as a whole, but
Yeah.
I got to give a lot of credit to Sam just in the sense of I've been, I don't want to say waiting, but anticipating this. We're going to have a bad Sam Darnold game, and we're going to be like, yep, there's the guy. That's why the Vikings got rid of him. That's why the Jets gave up on him. And that guy never came around. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see him play in the Super Bowl because at this point, I'm fully confident in him. I
Mhm.
think he's going to go out and play awesome in the Super Bowl. And
I
I'm
agree with you.
truly excited to see that for him after everybody kind of doubted him because I think there were still doubts on him coming into this year. And everybody doubted him, and they said that the old Sam Darnold is in there, and he's going to show up, us included, me included, and he never did. I'll let you kind of get some thoughts.
I'll say this before we move on to the coaching carousel, before we get to the Super Bowl. But I will say this about Sam Darnold. His 2 worst games were in 2 of the 3 Seattle losses. The first game of the season when they played the 49ers, Sam Darnold only threw for 150 yards, didn't really do much else in a 17-13 San Francisco loss. And then against the Rams, the first meeting, he did throw 4 interceptions, but still threw for over 270 yards. And he did turn the ball over in the second Rams meeting, but he played good enough to win that game. And you know what I always say, Jake, right? I don't care if you turn the ball over if you win. Matthew Stafford in 2021 led the league in interceptions and won the Super Bowl. So to me, that's
Yeah,
just my
it's about
standpoint.
you
Yeah,
also have to overcome your turnovers. So that is the if you win is the big
yeah.
caveat there. But I do
If
agree
you
to
win,
some
I
sense.
agree. You're right. You're not wrong. If you win, that's
No,
why I
but
said Yeah.
I do get what you're going for. That's a good way to put it. It's if you can turn the ball over and still overcome it, then who cares?
But you're 100% right. Like even like if I'm looking at the four interception Sam Darnold game against the Rams, where the Rams were kind of his kryptonite, 0-3 the last 2 years, until the second meeting when Sam Darnold finally broke through and got to them. I think like to me
And he
that
played great in that game, by the
he
way.
did play great in that game. He did have two interceptions, but he still played great in that game. But like he threw 270 yards even with the
Per
four
game, though.
interceptions in the first game. So like to me, like he's still doing some things right, right? He can clearly throw the football. So yeah, I think it's really, truly. I mean, the Drew Brees story was terrific in 2009 with the Saints when he came back after his time with the Chargers. But like, this might be the best comeback story in NFL history if Sam Darnold pulls off and wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because nobody would have ever predicted after his time with the Jets and Carolina that he would have ever been a Super Bowl quarterback. And he got there before he forget about just winning it. He got there before Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, and Josh Rosen's not even in the league anymore. Josh Rosen, pardon me. He's not even in the league anymore. So it's truly, I think, the best, if not if it's not the best comeback in sports, especially if he wins the Super Bowl, it's certainly one of the best comeback stories possibly ever. It's just an incredible story for a career. Like we've seen people come back in careers before, but not to the magnitude of Sam Darnold with other teams and stuff. In the NBA, it's different. In Major League Baseball, it's different because different organizations pay different kinds of money and run different systems. In the NFL, you do not see this. I just want to emphasize that.
Yeah.
This is rare, and we might not ever see it again. I
The
just
only other point that I have on Sam going back to the four interception thing is how many times have we also seen four interception games with 87 passing yards? Or like you were talking about,
yeah,
he still threw for 270. So this
did.
wasn't, I turned the ball over four times and I only threw for 130 yards. Like I had no impact on this game. Four interceptions with 272 yards still is a direct impact on the game. Some more negatively still probably than positively, but it's less negatively than it could have been if you only threw for 170 yards. So like there's still substance to those numbers. So that's my last point on Sam. I probably need to move on to the rest of the Seahawks and get
Mhm.
to the Patriots here at some point, but just
Absolutely.
awesome for Sam. And to segue into it, a really good defense behind him, Andrew. This team is
Yeah.
awesome.
And we're going to get right to the Super Bowl. Now we'll do the coaching carousel after. So if you have any thoughts on Klint Kubiak and Mike LaFleur, hang on to them because we'll be with them here in about 8 minutes. But first things first, let's get right to the Super Bowl. You're absolutely right, Jake. Seattle's defense is absolutely loaded. And before you even get to the big names on the defensive side of the ball, we're not even talking enough about the offensive side. Sam Darnold might be a package in himself from how he's played, but let's take a look at some of the big names here so far. Jackson Smith and Jigba
The
has
Emerald
possibly
City
been
route artist himself, Jackson
exactly
Smith.
right.
Boy, that's not good. I needed to bring that up because it was one of the cringiest things I've ever seen in my life. And I'm really sorry to that guy. It's bad though, buddy. They gotta take your credentials away, pal. I'm sorry.
Oh, bro.
I'm
But
sorry.
but hey, you know what? Uh, the big thing though with Jackson Smith and Jigba is he's just been possibly the best wide receiver in football all season long. He's
Yeah.
consistent. He's he catches like almost everything. I think Sam Darnold's thrown it in this year. There's clearly great chemistry there. He has confidence in his
Hmm.
QB, and I think Mike McDonald and not just the coaching staff have confidence in him. I think he has confidence in himself for the way he's played. And even in the playoffs, he hasn't been as terrific in the playoffs as he's been in the regular season, but he still put up crazy numbers. I think you have to give it to Cooper Kupp. He's come
He's been awesome in the
alive,
postseason. Yeah.
awesome in this postseason. And I'll let you get to the big names on defense here, but to me, like, it's not even just Seattle's defense. As good as Seattle's defense is, their offense just has name after name after name.
Yeah. Ken Walker's been really good in this
And
playoff
Walker's been good
run.
too.
The O line is good too. But yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Sam's doing great, but Sam has got guys around him. And sometimes that's all it takes as a quarterback, too, is like you give him a Jackson Smith and Jigba, you give him a Cooper Kupp, you give him a run game, you give him these guys to throw the ball to, and all of a sudden, look what he turns into. He gets him the ball, he makes accurate throws. Like it's a really good point out of you to bring up. Like this offense is really strong around Sam, and he does a great job of running it and making sure he gets those guys the ball. The confidence in him is high, as you mentioned. Like Jackson and him definitely have a trust factor.
You're absolutely right. Now, getting to the New England side of things, a lot of people are quick to point out that Seattle is probably going to win this game, and which, we'll get to our predictions in a minute, so I'm not going to reveal it. I will say this, I don't want to count New England out by
No,
any,
never.
because A, it's the NFL any given Sunday, but B,
It's
even
a
though
Super
New
Bowl,
England, yeah,
also,
It's the Super Bowl, so anything could happen. But to me, like New England still has guys. Like just look at outside of how the way Drake May's played. Drake May hasn't really been super terrific in the postseason, but we saw
which
what he did in
is
the regular season.
a little bit scary to think about the fact that they're here without
Yeah.
him playing well. So if he does play well, their ceiling is really high.
Well, think about this. I mean, Hunter Henry, he's a big name tight end now. I think,
He's
over the
been really
last few
good this
years,
year.
he's
Yeah.
been really good this year. He's back in action. You look at Stephon Diggs, obviously, being a big name for Drake May on offense. And, for a big personality like Diggs to come in, it's not like Odell Beckham Jr.'s second year at Baker. Like, he came in and went off. You know what I mean?
And
But
he
you also have to
didn't
look at the defense. Like,
complain.
safety Kyle Duggar. You have to look at Harold Landry III has done a great job this year. This is a star-studded roster. I mean,
Christian
Williams,
Gonzalez is one of the best corners in the
Christian
league.
Gonzalez is one of the best in the league. There's no doubt. I mean, there's just name after name on the defensive. And how about Robert Spillane as well, or Spillane?
Spillane.
Spillane. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've had trouble with his name.
just another
Hmm.
Mike Vrabel, former linebacker himself, just finds a linebacker he loves and turns him into a. I mean, this just
It's a star-studded roster. I
yeah.
mean,
It's there's so much.
yeah.
There's good players on this team.
So, we can start to give our predictions a little bit now for this game. I personally think the Seattle Seahawks on paper are the better team, but even though New England has kind of gotten lucky in the playoffs, I am not counting them out because I think the better coach is on the New England sideline. I think Mike Vrabel is the better football coach.
Uh,
I like Mike McDonald. I'm not
no,
going to argue that.
you might be right, but it's really tough. That's a good thing to bring up because I don't know.
And it's Mike versus Mike for the third time. It's the third time the coaches have the same name, and they're always Mike. So I think we need to bring that up too,
There's a
right?
lot of Mikes in the
A lot of
NFL, and
Mike.
we just got a new one.
Yes,
We'll
we
talk
did.
about later.
Yes, we will. We'll talk about Mike LaFleur in a minute. But to me, like it's Mike versus Mike. But like I have to look at the fact Vrabel has the coaching experience and resume right now. That's not to say Mike McDonald isn't a great head coach. Obviously, when you're 14-3 and get to the Super Bowl, you're a great head coach. I just think from a
Interesting factor.
fundamental and rules standpoint, Mike Vrabel is a master. And I think we haven't seen enough of Mike McDonald with the rules yet to clarify if that's going to be the way the Seahawks win this game. If this is a strictly based on rules football game, Jake, I would say New England is favored. But if it's based on talent of the rosters, I am hands down giving the favor to the Seattle Seahawks. So I'll give my pick first. I am taking the Seattle Seahawks to win, but I am taking it as a 20-17 game. I think the Seahawks win on a game-winning field goal. And for me, I think it just comes down to who the better team is. And then obviously, if Mike McDonald beats Mike Vrabel in the Super Bowl, I'd be willing to concede that he might be the better coach. But because I still think from a rules standpoint and a fundamental standpoint and experience standpoint, Vrabel has the advantage. I'm not counting out New England, and I think this is going to be a much closer game than people think. I really do. And I'll be honest with you, if New England wins, even though I'm not a huge fan of Boston teams, I've been rooting like mad for Mike Vrabel. I mean, it's probably the
Love
closest
that guy,
Northeast
man. He's
Ohio will
awesome.
get to a Super Bowl. I love Mike Vrabel, so I
Yeah,
will
he's
say that
awesome.
off the rip. And I like Drake May too. I really do. But I want
This
to give you some time, Jake, on your prediction. By the way, Matthias picked the Seahawks. We should throw that
by
out.
7, he said. Seattle
By
by
seven.
7. Didn't give a score.
He said Seattle by 7. I'm predicting 2017 Seattle. Jake, I want to give you some time here too. Go ahead.
Two things. I also like Mike Vrabel.
Mhm.
This Patriots team way, way, way easier to root for than the Dynasty Patriots. I
Agreed.
feel like so that's cool. Like when the Dynasty Patriots won the Super Bowl, I was like mad and I didn't want to see them win. If these Patriots win, I won't be like devastated. I'll be like, all right, that's cool. Like that's a fun story, whatever. Um, I think you made a good point about the coaching that I hadn't fully considered. Yeah, Seattle's the better team, but Mike Vrabel is a good coach. And if it comes down to coaching intricacies and making the right decision here and being aggressive here and not being aggressive there and doing the things, kicking the field goal when you normally would go for it or, drawing up the fake punt when you would normally not do that. It's those kind of things that I think are interesting. It sucks because we talk all this great, we've said all these positives about New England and all of these great things about them, and I don't think any of the three of us are going to pick them because I had Seattle in my head. I've had Seattle the whole time. I bet on Seattle to win the Super Bowl in the middle of the Rams game. So that tells you how confident I was in Seattle that they were not only going to beat the Rams, but also win the Super Bowl. I'm going to take Seattle. I think you were right in the area. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. Give me 21-13 Seattle Seahawks.
I think, you made some great points there, Jake, before we move on. For me, I think the big thing to really focus on here too with this game, and this is for anybody that wants to make a prediction or give their thoughts on who wins the game too. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on who wins the game in the comments.
Yeah.
By the way, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear your predictions too. But to me, like, you know, this game, it's really going to come down to, there's just this like so much and it's not just from being on the podcast with you and Matthias because we've been raving about Seattle all year. But to me, it's like, you know, yeah, we're raving about Seattle. Yeah, they seem like the best team on paper, but New England has gotten lucky in some ways, but they're still winning. They were 14-3 this year. They got
There
to the playoffs and
is,
got to the Super
yeah,
Bowl. Like I
there
can't
is
sleep on them.
something about just
Yeah.
continuing to win despite not playing your best. And like, yeah, they got really lucky that Jared Stidham was the quarterback and not Bo Nix. And then they got extra lucky that it started to snow when they already had the lead. But you bring up a good point of like they did just win. Like there is something to win. I mean, it was the Bears the whole
Mm.
year. It was
Bears
the
Bears were clutch. I mean, the difference with the
how do
Bears
you
was
define the success that the Bears kept having? Because it was like there's no way they should win any of these games, and they kept getting lucky, but they kept winning. And New England is, I think, that, like you said, like there's a part of that to them where it's like, are they good? Yeah, but they've also like had an easy schedule and didn't have to face a starting quarterback in the AFC Championship game and all of that stuff. But
and
they're
they got
here.
lucky that CJ Stroud played as bad as he did.
Yeah,
The
and but
Houston defense really wasn't the reason they lost that game. So
and yet
uh
here they are.
they're here. They got
And that's
lucky.
like it's another good it's this is there's a lot of intricacies to this Super Bowl, which I guess you could say about all of them. But this being the first year that we've kind of done a show talking about it, I think you kind of like you mentioned, like we've talked about this stuff all year. So I feel like we have a lot of previous thoughts to bring into it. And there's a lot about this Super Bowl that's very interesting from like a analyzing it perspective. And we've gotten a lot of good things in today that I didn't even consider, like the coaching and New England's weird luck stuff that's going on. And I bet on Seattle live on this show one time to win the NFC. And let me tell you what, that was a nice $57 that I won because I hit that in like week 9. So we've seen these things throughout the year, and it's cool now to be able to analyze it. That's kind of where I was going. This will be a fun Super Bowl. I'm excited for it. That's my last thoughts on it. I'm excited.
I'm excited for it too,
Hopefully, it's
Jake.
better than last year's.
I I mean, last year's was a good game. It's just it was Philadelphia and Kansas City. But yeah, I'm with you. I hope it's better
Yeah,
than
I think
last year.
that's
It's
kind
two
of
new teams. It's fresh blood. It's Mike
bad versus
versus
bad.
Mike. Yeah. um, I I mean, I think we've pretty much summed it up. I don't know what else there really is to say outside of this. Yeah, I'm taking Seattle from a fundamental standpoint of they're probably the best team on paper, and they felt like they won their games. You know what I mean? New England felt like they got lucky in a lot of their games, but because of that, and because I still think New England has played well all year, I don't want to sleep on New England, and I can't sleep on New England, and I know who their head coach is.
Here's
So
the deal.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I know I said I already said my last thing, but I
Yeah. Go
Wake
ahead.
up on
That's it
Monday
for me.
morning.
Hmm?
The Patriots win the Super Bowl. How surprised are you on a scale from 1 to 10? 4?
I would have said at the beginning of the season, very surprised, and I'd put it at
Right, yeah. But
as
like
of right
now,
now, I'd say probably two.
yeah.
I would be
I
surprised
said
if it went
4
to
because
one.
I do think they're the worst team. So if they won, I would be like a little surprised,
Yeah.
but not really.
Yeah.
Not that much.
I'm still picking my
I'm
prediction
still
was
gonna take
Seattle
Seattle, but like
2017.
if New England, if I wake up Monday morning and see all the headlines on Twitter, New England Super Bowl, blah blah blah, like I would not be
Mhm.
surprised. A little bit
What was
because
your
like I
score
said,
prediction again?
mine was 21-13.
21-13. That's right. Just want to double check.
So that would be Seattle covering for those of you who pay attention to that kind of stuff.
And Matthias said Seattle by 7. So
Yeah, so I had
hopefully
him
we're
by 8.
gonna
He had him by
we will
7. You
get
had him
one
by
later this
3.
week. So but yeah, that's our thoughts on the Super Bowl, everybody. Hope everyone has a great Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy the game. And yeah, about it. Enjoy the game and have
If
fun
you're
watching
going
the Super
to a
Bowl.
Super Bowl party, don't be annoying.
Also that.
Please. Don't talk during the game. Okay. There's plenty of time for talking during the commercials.
We got to get to some of these coaching
Just
carousels before we move off
I'm
here. Well,
if the game's going on, I don't want to talk to you. Sorry. I
coaching
know it's a
carousel
party,
time.
but like, come on now. It's a football game.
Coaching
Let's get to
carousel
Mike.
time.
Mike and Klint.
Mike LaFleur officially going to Arizona. Klint Kubiak reportedly going to the Raiders. To me, honestly, these are just jobs that had to be filled. I don't know if he's
Yeah,
the right candidates. Knowing LaFleur, there's a LaFleur doing well in Green Bay leads me to believe that the Cardinals might think there'd be a LaFleur doing good in Phoenix. I don't know if that's going to be the case, or Glendale, I should say,
Glendale, yeah.
but still the Phoenix area. Yada yada yada. And for Las Vegas, it's looking like Klint Kubiak is going to be the head coach, according to reports of who will likely be the first overall pick, Fernando
I
Mendoza.
like
What
Klint.
is the worst roster in football?
I like Klint for Fernando.
I agree.
That will be fun. And I think if they get a nice receiver to go with him,
That's going to be the
I
question
don't want to
mark.
say
That
there's
roster is awful.
similarities between Mendoza and Sam Darnold because I don't think they're like that much the same player, but
Mm-hmm.
I think they could play a very similar style of game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you get they've already got Brock Bowers, so they have a nice tight end. You get a nice receiver. Like, I think Kubiak could do something with that. Now, their defense might be the worst defense ever again, but like, I think
Max
they might.
Crosby's good.
I don't think he's going to be a Raider.
You're probably right, but still, they get a lot out
But
of
you're
him.
right. I
I
just don't think
would.
he's going to be a
Yeah,
Raider.
yeah.
Um, I'm excited for Klint Fernando marriage because I think that'll be fun. But I do agree with you a little bit of like, these were the two jobs where it was kind of like, I don't really know that I care. And you could say that about the Browns too. It's just different for us because we're Browns fans. But I think from
Yeah.
an outside perspective, the Browns, the Cardinals, I guess the Raiders less because they do have the number 1 overall pick. But the Browns and the Cardinals were kind of like, okay, someone's going to take that job and they're probably going to get fired in 3 years because both of those rosters are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas at least the Raiders are getting the number 1 overall pick. So like he'll have Fernando Mendoza and maybe he could do something with it. But I don't know.
The thing
The
with the
Cardinals
Raiders,
one is just so annoying
mhm.
because it's like they wanted Clint Kubiak and they knew they weren't going to get him, but they kept saying they were going to get him. And then they ran out of options and had to settle with LaFleur because he was the only other guy that wanted the job.
Well, here's the other thing too with the Cardinals job because the quarterback situation might be a mess, the roster's a mess, and because it's Arizona, I mean, there's just nothing going there. And so for me, with the Las Vegas
I wish you
Raiders,
the best,
why it's
Mike.
still the best job of the three of them between the Browns too, is
I
because
agree. Yeah.
at least you're getting Fernando Mendoza and you have who likely will be your franchise quarterback to build around. I'm not even saying we don't know
And you
yet.
get to
It's looking
live,
like
and
it
you
will
live in
be.
Las Vegas.
And
So
you live
that's
in
cooler than
Vegas.
Cleveland and Glendale. No
It
offense to
is.
Glendale.
But Phoenix is even, I mean, with warm weather, at least it might be better than
At least it's warm there, but
Todd
Vegas
Monken
is
getting the
cool.
Cleveland job might not be the ideal thing all Browns fans wanted, but you know what? It is what it is. And another few things here. Frank Reich is going to be the offensive coordinator with the New York Jets. I think that's an outstanding hire
I
for
was just
Frank.
going to say, I love that
Yeah,
hire.
I
If you're
love
going
that
to
hire
succeed,
too.
that's the guy.
Get a guy like him in the building who can figure things out for you. And he was with Stanford last year, so obviously he's working with guys that had brains before. So you know what? Bringing the
Working with
brains
Andrew
to the New
Luck.
York Jets will be good as well because they certainly need some of those. Huh?
He was
Yeah,
working with
Andrew
Andrew
Luck.
Luck, who's the
He worked
GM
with
there.
Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck, of course, retired immediately after Frank Reich's first year as a head coach. But at the same time, like, how good could a Frank Reich been if he would have had Andrew Luck all that time in Indianapolis?
I
Questions will remain forever on that.
do
But
have
yeah.
one
Also,
quick
Brian
little bit
Dable
of
to Tennessee. What's up?
great. Also, great hire. Love Brian Dable to Tennessee. That'll be great for Cam.
Yeah.
Um, Hall of Fame ballot just came out. If you'd like to know before we move on to the NBA.
Yeah. What is it?
2026 Hall of Fame class. Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Adam Vinatieri, Luke Kuechly, and Roger Craig. Very excited to see Kuechly get in.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
excited to see Fitz get in. I mean, I'm excited to see all these guys get in,
Drew
but
Brees for me is my number one. Larry Fitzgerald certainly my number two.
I'm excited for Kuechly because I was hoping they didn't do him dirty with the short career stuff, which they didn't, which is awesome. And Vinatieri is my dude, so happy for again all of them. But that's a that's a crazy class because
mm-hmm.
that's our childhood class, and like now they're all in the Hall of Fame, so we're old, which is cool.
I'm excited for all those speeches. I'm excited
Oh
for
yeah, Larry might make you cry in his speech.
Larry is the
He's
man.
awesome like
I'll be
that.
honest. I mean, like the thing with Drew Brees is like, yeah, and Drew Brees is New Orleans and whatnot, and but he was drafted by the Chargers, so he didn't spend his whole career.
Right. He's not Larry.
Yeah, he's not like Larry. Like he went through a lot of crap with Arizona. He did make it to a Super Bowl, thankfully, but
And
like,
he
yeah, Arizona was it's such a
yeah.
rough place to play, and
And
so
not
yeah,
one time did you ever feel like Larry Fitzgerald didn't want to be in Arizona.
not at all.
And that's what's
Mhm.
they don't you don't people aren't really made like that anymore in the NFL or in any sport. Is
Mhm.
when
Or
we'll talk
college
about
sports, let alone the pros.
right, we will talk
Yeah.
about Giannis later and all the stuff that he's trying to do with Milwaukee. You didn't hear a peep of that with Larry. And yeah, the NFL and the NBA, different leagues. I get it. Superstars run the NBA. They don't run the NFL yet. But like,
Superstars are slowly starting to, but yeah, you're
that's why I
right.
said, yeah, it's getting close. We're getting closer and closer. You didn't hear anything from Larry, man.
No, you
You
didn't.
could say that about a lot of different guys. You could say that about Luke Kuechly and all the tough years in Carolina. But this is a
But
Hall of
even
Fame
Kinkley, like
class.
he stayed with Carolina his
That's
whole
what I'm saying.
career.
Yeah. This here is
Yeah.
like three of the best human beings you could put four when you count Vinatieri, I guess. But
Vinatieri,
Breeze, Fitz, and
Larry, yeah.
Kuechly, that's three like fantastic human beings also
I think we're
to
talking
put
about
in the
people that
hall.
have 100% approval ratings too. Like
Yeah, there's
they're the
no those
guys.
guys don't have haters. And if you do, then you're the problem in that situation, I think.
These
The
are
only way
these are
to get
definitely like
Breeze
all the
is
most like everybody loves these guys.
yeah. It'll be like,
Mhm.
you know, Ed Reed and Palomalu. Like I hate them because they're Ravens and Steelers, but other than that, like
Everybody
what's
loves them.
there's nothing to hate about Palomalu other than the like so
They
as,
played for
as
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
yeah, who would hate Drew Brees? Yeah, maybe Falcons fans, but at the end of the day, probably not because
Well, the Saints and Falcons do have a heated rivalry, and Matt Ryan and Drew Brees faced each other a
yeah,
lot of times in heated
but
games.
it's the same thing with the
Yeah.
Palomalu argument where it's like at this point in his career, do you hate Drew Brees? No, because he's an awesome human. And you know he's an awesome human. That picture of him with his kid at the Super Bowl should tell you everything you need to know about Drew Brees, the person.
Mhm. These are
So
all great people getting in, so I'm glad
yes,
you brought up the
Hall
list.
of Fame did a great job getting the best football players in this year, but also human beings that you're like really excited to see get in. So good
Also,
job, Hall of
before
Fame.
we move on to the NBA, one more thing we should mention is Robert Kraft snubbed as a first ballot Hall of Famer too.
Yeah, and Bill,
Bill was
ridiculous.
last week. We don't need to go back on Bill, but to me, like Robert Kraft getting snubbed too is insane. This is probably one of the best owners in all of pro sports. And I think he's already proving that again, seeing where the Patriots are right now. But it is what it is. They better not do that to Tom Brady, though.
I sure hope not.
Yeah, even with Deflate, I don't care about Deflategate. That man is the best quarterback that ever played football. So it better not happen to Tom Brady. That's where I stand there. Let's move on to the NBA because we got a lot of trades to get to here, and we got a big one here in Cleveland as well. So we're going to do two and a half each trade. We're going to start things off in our nation's capital. Anthony Davis going to the Washington
Philadelphia?
Wizards in exchange for Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Tyus Jones, Marvin Bagley, and two first-round picks. Now, not all those picks are Washington's. Jake has a little bit more on that.
None of them are
And
Washington's,
three
I don't
picks to
think.
Dallas. Oh, those are like OKC, and who was the other one?
Golden State, I think.
Golden State. Okay.
So
Uh,
Dallas got picks, but they're gonna be they're not gonna be like the Wizards bad tanking picks. They're gonna be like good teams. So they're gonna be late first.
so that's still good for the Dallas Mavericks who are trying to build around Cooper Flag right now. So to me, like I get the move for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell the Wizards are trying to be. Like they traded for Trae Young and Anthony Davis. And I mean,
I
like to me, that's like you're trying to go from a tanking team to a play-in team. Is that what their mission is right now? That's where I stand on this. But if the
they've
Wizards want to be good long
yeah.
term, this is the right move. Go on.
Well, I was gonna say I do think like surface level, you look at those two trades and it's weird, but I did a deep dive the last couple of days. Well, after the Trae Young trade initially, and then the last couple of days, I've done a deep dive into the roster for the Wizards.
Hmm.
I like a lot of what I see in terms of there's a lot of young players on this team, a lot of young players that I've heard of, which is that doesn't mean much to the normal person, but I'm a casual NBA fan, so if I've heard of the player, that is a strong chance that he's good enough, which is a win for the Wizards. I see the vision in terms of let's add veterans to a young roster and see what happens. They're about to add another top five pick because Trae Young and Anthony Davis aren't going to play this year. So they're going to embrace the tank, get a top five pick to pair with Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson, Trae Young, Anthony Davis, and the rest of this roster. I don't think they gave up that much. So I like the idea of them taking a shot. If Anthony Davis doesn't work for them and they gave up the 30th pick in this year's draft because it's OKC's pick, I don't think they're going to look back and be like, darn, I can't believe we gave up the 30th pick for a shot at Anthony Davis, who, when he's on the court, when being the key word, is still an elite defensive player and can give you 25 and 15 a night if he really wants to.
Moving on to Kristaps Porzingis and
Dingus
the
Pingus.
Warriors. Yep, he's Tingus Pingus.
That's one of the best videos
I
ever.
know. No, you're not wrong. Tingus Pingus is going to Golden State.
I just can't
Atlanta is
I
getting
can't not
Jonathan
call him
Kuminga and
that.
Buddy Hield. I like this trade for both ends, I'll be honest. Because the Warriors are trying to compete this year. They're not going to win a finals. I'm sorry, they're not going to win a finals. This is not the 2010s Warriors, it's the 2020s Warriors. But they're not going to win a finals. But you know what? If they're going to try to come close to a finals, I think Kristaps Porzingis is the guy you need. Um, Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield are nice pieces for the Atlanta Hawks. I would say this trade works a lot better if Trae Young is still there, but because he isn't, the Atlanta Hawks are probably going into rebuild mode here. So to me, like, yeah, it's two nice young players, but you better get a superstar draft pick or something to complement that for the future if you're the Atlanta Hawks. But
I don't know if
I
Buddy
mean,
Hield is still young, but he might. I actually have no concept of how long Buddy Hield has been in the league. He could be
also
27 or he could be 35, and I wouldn't be surprised by either answer.
the Atlanta Hawks are also the Arizona Cardinals of the NBA. Prove me wrong. Jake, do you have anything else?
No, I think you kind of hit it. I'm excited for Jonathan Kuminga. I have to try really hard not to call him by his nickname because that is not. This is a family-friendly show and it is not family-friendly show appropriate. So we're going to call him Jonathan Kuminga, who is, I think, still young, who openly said he doesn't like playing for the Warriors. So
Which
maybe
is weird.
playing
How
for
can you not? But yeah, go on.
maybe not playing for the Warriors anymore will be good for him. They have Jalen Johnson, who's a nice young player. I think he will go well with Kuminga. At this point, I don't. Buddy Hield is 33. See, I had no concept of that. His real name's definitely not Buddy. I'm learning a lot about him on his Wikipedia page right now. He went to Oklahoma. I did know that. Okay, distracted. I don't know. The Hawks, I don't really care about, which I think you kind of said in a different way. But
Arizona Cardinals of the NBA.
I I don't know what Buddy Hield gives you, but this trade was for Kuminga, and I think they had to trade Buddy Hield to make the contracts match, so whatever. Um, if you're Jonathan Kuminga, you better play well after all that stuff you talked about wanting to leave. So a lot of pressure on him, I think, for more than anybody else in this trade.
All right. Next trade for me is it's a Cavs trade. So James Harden's coming to Cleveland in exchange
This
for
is
Darius Garland. Uh, and I believe a second round pick's going to the Clippers as well.
Yeah, I
For the
should have got my DG
Clippers,
jersey on for this.
for the Clippers, I like the move because what is my line, Jake? What are the LA Clippers?
They're the nursing home or whatever you call, I don't know,
The
nursing home,
retirement home of
retirement
the
home, same
NBA.
difference.
They're the retirement of the NBA. So they need a young guy. This is their young guy. And he's going to a team that actually had a former Cleveland Cavalier head coach in Ty Lue. So good for him. Darius Garland is in a really interesting situation, but he could be fresh blood that the
Did they
Clippers
cross over?
need. I'm sorry?
They didn't cross over in
No,
Cleveland,
they
did
did not.
they?
They did not
I didn't
cross
think
over.
so.
No, they
I didn't
did.
think so.
Ty Lue was fired the year after LeBron left. So, but anyway,
Okay, that's
uh,
what I thought.
back to my point about young blood for the Clippers. They needed somebody young in that building. I'm sorry, that roster is so old with Kawhi Leonard not being the Kawhi Leonard he was in 2019. I'm sorry, he just isn't. And he's not healthy a lot of the time either. And when he is healthy, he's a great basketball player. But still,
All
I
star,
think he's
baby.
35 now, or close to 35 or 34. He's on the other side of 30.
34. I'm looking at their
34.
roster
Okay.
right now.
James Harden's 36. I mean, so obviously I get why the Clippers wanted to move off him. So for me, I like this move for the Clippers. For the Cavs, in terms of a financial standpoint, I actually like the move because he has an option. I don't expect James Harden to stay. I think this is a rental.
Dude, this
So
is
because I
a
think he'll be
nice
gone
roster.
next year in terms of him wanting to leave in free agency, I like it because it kind of opens up the cap a little bit for the Cavs and they can have some other options of how to add to the roster. But in terms of the player we're getting in return, this is a player that's never happy, that's never really lived up to the hype he had back in his Houston days when he was a consistent superstar. He has not been that at all since. I haven't seen Houston James Harden in a long time. He had that superstar ability in Brooklyn a little bit, but it wasn't there, and it hasn't been there with the Clippers. And I know I took up a lot of time on this, Jake. I know you're a Cavs fan, so I want to give you a little additional time. Darius Garland to the Clippers, totally get it. Good move for them. For the Cavs, in terms of opening up the cap, I like it. I don't like the move in terms of the player we have here on the roster because I just don't think it's good chemistry with any NBA team, let alone the Cavs. Jake, go ahead.
I will the first thing I want to add is I will say I'm looking at it now. This is the best. James Harden is having the best season he's had since his 34 and a half point per game season in 2019. So he's averaging 25 and a half points and 8 assists this year with 5 rebounds. So if you get that James Harden and he like doesn't cause any problems, I'm here for it. I think it's great. My concern with the trade was why did you trade away a 26-year-old point guard for a 36-year-old point guard? That was the part that got to me. If it works, great. And I didn't realize really until I dove into it a little bit that Harden is actually playing the really good ball this year. And I don't think anybody talked about it because he's James Harden and he kind of has that reputation now where he's kind of just annoying. And he's also on the Clippers. So it was kind of hidden. So I'm excited to see how it works, but I just didn't understand it from like why are you trading an older player for a younger player? Also was looking at the Clippers roster. They also added Benedict Mathurin from the Pacers, who's 23 years old. So a
Needing young
really
blood.
good,
They got it.
a nice little deadline for the Clippers in terms of you have a long way to go, but you've got two guys who are in their 20s now who can kind of who could definitely play next to each other, who could push you to the future. So good job in that regard. And they have Yannick Kozen Niederhauser, my dude from Penn State at 22 years old. So they got a little bit of youth now that maybe they can say, okay, we're going to build around these guys. Get the Ben Mathurin posters up in the city of LA around the arena.
And a healthy Kawhi Leonard is a good Kawhi Leonard still. I'm not gonna
Yeah, and
argue.
he's a guy that, with the way
Yeah.
he plays, I think he's probably going to age pretty gracefully into his later 30s. He's
The
just so
Clippers
smooth.
better surely figure it out because
Yeah.
it's not like this is the Kawhi Leonard of 2019. And I
He's
just
still
want to point
averaging
out,
27,
mhm,
4, and 6.5, though.
the Clippers
So
got hot at the right time too. Like this is the move if you're the LA Clippers to make. Because remember, a few weeks ago, I roasted the LA Clippers for how their organization has essentially been ran with all these older players. Like a lot of their big moves were like Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Paul George. Like I mean, Paul George came with Kawhi, so I won't even count that. But still, Paul George aged with the Clippers. You know what I mean? And then that trade backfired because SGA went to OKC. So to me, like I've been hard on the Clippers in terms of the fact that their roster has been incredibly old overall, and they have Brooke Lopez now. What's left of Brooke Lopez, who's also on the other side of 30. So like,
this roster is
yeah,
pretty incredible when you look at all of the old,
it's
like,
an old roster. It's
you've
been the
named a
oldest in
lot of them.
basketball.
And there's still Bradley Beal, Nicholas
Bradley Beal,
Batum, a 31-year-old Chris Dunn, a now
the
28,
retirement home of the NBA. I don't care what
it's
anybody says.
28-year-old past his prime John Collins, Bogdanovich at 30. I mean, there's just you say that as a joke and it's really true. And like you named four dudes and there's still four more who you're like, yeah, if this was 2018, this roster would be awesome.
Hmm.
And it's
It
not.
would be. It would be, but
Well,
not in 2025.
no.
It's not
Like,
2018. That's a finals contending roster right there. Like that's a team competing for it.
yeah.
Like you have Bradley Beal and you have Kawhi Leonard in 2018. That's a
Yeah, you got that
contending
version
roster.
of John Collins. You have that
Yes.
version of Nicholas Batum.
And Batum was with Charlotte, and he was good with Charlotte that
He
year.
was a really nice player in
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Probably one of the best players the Hornets have had the last 15 years. But still, bottom line for me is this, and I know I spent a lot of time on this one, and I talked a lot about the Clippers and not my team, the Cavs, with it. I didn't realize how good James Harden's numbers were this year, so now I'm kind of excited
Was
to see what happens. I'm
it
not a fan of Harden overall, but
That's where I landed too. It
yeah.
was hard for me to be mad when I looked at the numbers and I was like, "Oh." And like they were winning, not a lot, but they had like won 17 out of 17 in a row or something, not that many, but like 17 out of 20. And I was like, "Oh," and James Harden contributed to that with really good numbers. So
Mhm.
there was a part of me that was like, maybe it's not that bad for the Cavs because I like you did not realize that his numbers looked like that. And then I think I looked them up yesterday and I was like, "Oh, that's not that bad. If
Well,
you're
if
going
that's
to
the
do that
case,
alongside Spida and Mobley and Allen and all, like, do that, please.
and you
You'll
know,
be
we should
fine."
also bring out Jared Allen had a 40-point performance against the Trailblazers the other night.
He sure did.
So Jared Allen, if he continues to get to that level again, like, the big talking point for the Cavs has always been Jared Allen needs to be the trading piece. Well, Darius Garland turned out to be. So to me, like Darius Garland being out, and a lot of talks even here in Cleveland have been like Donovan and Darius doesn't work together. You can't do it. You can't have those two small guards. James Harden's a little bit different now. So like it's a little bit of a different energy to the team. And I was for the whole you can't keep Donovan and Darius mentality together.
This is the same thing with Darius
Let's
and
see how it
Colin.
works. Yeah, no, you're right. I agree. And to me, like I've always been a fan of Jared Allen, you know that, and I love Evan Mobley overall. I'm glad we didn't move off Evan Mobley unless it was for Giannis. And go ahead.
A little bit of local football news for us. Earlier today, Myles Garrett, unanimous Defensive Player of the Year, but our guy
Okay.
Carson Schlesinger just won the Rookie of the Year defensively. So
Okay.
we don't have to touch on it, but shout out to those two guys. As Browns
Yes.
fans, that means a lot to us. When they announce MVP, I'll also get that in the pod. We can react maybe, but
Mhm.
just wanted to give a shout out to our Browns.
Fair enough. And as you guys always know, we do record the podcast the night before, so when this news comes out, we're getting it as it comes. So we always want to throw that out there while we have it going on. But back to the Cavs. Um, for me, like, this is like a new era of the core four now. We're gonna have the core three and James Harden. And as I said, this is like a rental to me. James Harden, I don't expect to stay beyond this year. The Cavs could go find other pieces and work on that with this move because James Harden has the option. So if James Harden does end up leaving Cleveland, which I expect, then you know what? At least we could see how far it gets us this year. To me, if the Cavs
He's
get to
probably
the
going to take
Eastern
it, I think.
Conference Finals, you think so?
It's like $46.5 million. I don't know that he's going to turn it
Well, if it
down.
works, then maybe if it works and the
Well,
Cavs get
it's
to
one
the
of
Eastern
those.
Conference Finals, I'm
He
for it.
also, if things don't work out, I think he takes it and he's like, "Hey, let's just do a sign and trade, and you guys can just ship me off." But I'm not I don't think he's gonna turn down the
Mhm.
option. But I do agree, like he could definitely not be in Cleveland. But no matter where he goes, he's taking that option because it's way too much money to just say no, I'm good.
Still gives the Cavs flexibility too. And this is
Correct.
not
Yeah.
Darius Garland. Like this is not two small guards anymore. This is James Harden. It's a different deal, different offensive production, and you're getting
Hmm.
veteran presence that young guys maybe could use. I mean, Donovan's turning into. I mean, Donovan's what almost 30 now anyway. So like to me, like you already have that veteran-ish presence with Donovan, but this is an older veteran who could kind of be the presence of it. And maybe Kenny Atkinson's an offensive guru. I mean, this is the thing. Kenny Atkinson could probably figure this out. But the bottom line is the Cavs got to get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year in order for the season to be a success in any way. Obviously, the finals is the main goal, but like if they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals with James Harden, I will consider this season a successful, and I'll consider this move successful because clearly it went well. But that still remains yet to be seen. The Cavs are still getting hot at the right time. How's this move going to turn out is the question for them. And one more thing, Jake, I'm just going to get back to the Clippers again. Darius Garland, while he does bring youth to the Clippers, I do want to point out the injury history. If he's bringing that to the LA Clippers, the LA Clippers are known for that with the guys they have, Kawhi Leonard to be mentioned too. So that might not be good for the
It
Clippers there. I
is
think we should bring that up.
my last comment on it, and
Yeah.
I mentioned this in our group chat, was the fact that we had to give them a second round pick is a little bit concerning for how I think teams view his medicals.
I get that.
You
Yeah.
have to wonder you don't trade a 26-year-old for a 36-year-old if he's tip top shape and ready to go. There's something going on with that foot or toe or whatever it was that I don't think we know about. And you make a good point about that, where it's like, this is not the organization that I would want to be a part of if I have an injury history, because they haven't done anything in their past to fix it. And it'll be interesting to see 3 years from now if Darius Garland's magically healed or if that injury is really still lingering.
Also, we should
But
mention the Cavs did blow out the Clippers.
yeah,
Remember
that
that.
was without Harden and Mobley, I think,
Yes,
or
without Harden and
whoever was
Mobley.
not playing. Yeah,
Donovan and Jarrett were in, and we still blew
that
them.
was it. And Tyson, my guy.
Cavs are getting hot at the right time, and the Clippers are also getting hot at the right time. We'll see how these moves translate.
I don't
We
even
do have to
remember what
move
else
on.
you
We
had on the
spent a lot
sheet.
of
So
time on this one. So
yeah,
let's move
we
on
can
to,
bust through these next ones quick. I don't think they're that
yeah,
important.
well, there's
No
something
offense.
important to me. Well, not to me, but I think to fans across the NBA here.
They're
This
not
one is
important
a
to
good
me.
move, I think, for Boston. Boston, I think, is showing they're going for a
Oh,
championship.
absolutely.
Nikola Jokic, no, not Jokic, per
That
Nikola
would be
Vucevic.
crazy.
Nikola Vucevic is going to
Vucevic.
Boston.
Imagine
Nikola
that trade
Vucevic.
dropped. Jokic to the Celtics. I would have lost my mind.
Anthony Simmons in a second round pick swap going to uh, Chicago. So Vucevic going to Boston, though, I think is the highlight here.
Yeah.
You know what? Seeing the way Jalen Brown's playing right now, they're missing Kristaps Porzingis, obviously, now. They still have a great bench that we
I
don't
was to
talk
say they're
about too in a
clicking
minute.
too,
They're
man.
clicking. The Celtics might not necessarily need a Jason Tatum to get through to the Eastern Conference this year. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to be the case. I still think the Celtics come playoff time are going to need a Jason Tatum, but
Yeah.
but to me, like you know what? Give the Celtics credit. They're showing they're all in with this move, in my opinion. And you know what? They got the coach to do it. I think Joe
And
Mazzulla is a coach that he's shown. He's a candidate for Coach of the Year in the NBA this year with what he's had on the Celtics roster. This is a much more depleted Celtics roster than what we saw last year, and they're still winning. So
they
yeah,
also didn't mortgage anything about the future to put themselves in a position to compete this year, get Jason Tatum healthy, and not like, yeah, they could have like tanked and got a cool first round pick, but we're past that now. And it's like, okay, you're not Indiana where losing Halliburton has derailed your season and you're going to tank to get a fifth to get a high pick. You're still successful, so there's no reason to not go for it because you never know. And you gave up Anthony Simons, who's a nice player. He can score. He's going to be fun in Chicago on a bad team. But you gave up nothing for like a really high floor center who's been around the block, who, I think he's more of an offensive center at this point in his career, but like you're right, like it's a cool move for Boston to go for it when they don't have Tatum and not mortgage anything about their future. And you're like, if this doesn't work, oh well, we get Jason Tatum back next year, so we'll be fine.
They get Jason Tatum back, and they would have Nikola Vucevic on their roster.
Yeah.
So this could be a good setup for 2026,
Yeah. There's
2027.
almost no way that this backfires on the Celtics, and that's the best kind of trade to make.
Lonzo Ball to Utah. Cavs get nothing in a three-team trade with Atlanta. I mean, Lonzo
I
Ball wasn't really fitting well here to begin with, but we don't get anything for him, so I don't know.
I I put this in here. I wanted to talk about it just because I thought it was so fascinating in the sense of we traded him to Utah and gave Utah picks, and Utah said, "We're not giving you anything back." And Kobe Altman was like, "Okay, we'll do that. That's a good deal." Like he didn't even ask for a ham sandwich. He just said, "No, I'm good. You can have Lonzo Ball." And that to me, crazy. You only in
Probably
the
right.
NBA, only in the NBA does that happen. Where it's like, we're gonna give you this guy's salary and two picks, two second round picks, so like who cares? But you're not gonna have to give us anything. And we're gonna be happy about that because A, it saves us money, and B, we didn't want him on the roster anyways, because he's not playing well. So good job, Kobe Altman. Now we can convert Naquan Tomlin to a full contract or whatever, and the Jazz
Naquan
got
Tomlin's been
Lonzo
a
Ball.
lot better than Lonzo
Yeah.
Ball this year.
I,
So,
I
I
just
mean,
had to mention it because I remember reading the trade and not seeing who we got back, and I was like, oh, like it's an irrelevant trade. Like Shams will just tweet later, like, oh, the Cavs received the worst swap of a second round pick in 2036, and it ended up being nothing. So I just thought that was crazy. We don't really have to talk about it. I mean, Lonzo's going to get cut. He'll go somewhere on a minimum, and maybe he'll play well.
I mean, I don't really have much to say about it besides
I
it
just thought it was
being good for
crazy.
the Cavs for moving off a guy who has not helped them at all this year.
I
And
would
good
like
for
to
the Cavs for getting James Harden, who might work out this year. I
I
think
would like to try that trade in real life.
Jaren Jackson,
I'd like to trade nothing and receive something.
well, I don't think that works in the real world, but in the NBA it
I
certainly
don't think
does.
so either.
It doesn't work in Major League
I
Baseball
give
for
you this
sure.
cup and you give me two first round picks and two second round picks and money.
But here's the thing,
Thoughts?
Jake, you're not an executive of any sports franchise, so getting
Not
those
yet.
picks would mean nothing to you.
If I was an executive of the sports franchise, we would have Amon-Ra St. Brown in Cleveland right now, but that's besides the point. So,
All right, we're moving
because
on.
I would have taken him over Anthony Schwartz.
Jaren
That's
Jackson
just me.
is going to Utah. Walter Clayton Jr., Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, Kyle Anderson, three future picks going to Memphis. Jaren Jackson, I think, is the second best player on the Grizzlies roster, but John Morant with his John Morant being John Morant, I guess the best way to say it. Um, the Memphis Grizzlies are kind of a mess just as a whole anyway, so I kind of get the move here. Don't really know the direction of the Memphis Grizzlies anymore, so to me, I don't know if this is a good trade for them. For
I
you,
thought I did, and then they
clearly,
didn't trade Ja.
they did not trade Ja. No, they didn't. So clearly, they must believe they could still build around Ja, is my belief, which I think they still can as long as Ja can stay on the court. You know what I mean? But the Memphis
Just
Grizzlies, I mean, it's so weird because they were such a good basketball team that was on the rise, and the Ja Morant stuff is obviously taken precedent there, and this roster has just been so many drastic changes last year. They fired a coach. They were number 2 and number 3 in the NBA last year, and now they're like in the middle of purgatory. So, I mean,
So
I don't really
weird.
know anything about what the Memphis Grizzlies are anymore. So for Utah, I get the trade. I don't get it from the Memphis side of things, but I don't get
I
the Grizzlies either right
yeah.
now. I think that's a problem.
I got it from the Memphis point of view if they were also going to trade Ja and they were going to be like, you know what? We're just going to get all the picks we can. We're going to tear this roster down and we are going to tank and we're going to go get young players and we're going to build a young team and whatever. And then they were like, I'm guessing John Morant didn't have any value. And so they just are going to hold on to him for now and maybe try to trade in the offseason or something. But I agree with you in the sense now of like, I have no idea what you're doing. Because why would you keep John Morant on this roster? Because all he's going to do is hate being in Memphis on a bad team.
Already.
And he already, that's also a good point. I don't think he even likes being there now. For Utah, yeah, I love it. You gave up some picks, sure, but you gotta. There's a low chance that you take a player in the first round unless it's top 5 that's better than Jaren Jackson Jr. is, especially right now. So take a swing. You have a fun little roster. Lowry and Walker Kessler and Jaren Jackson. I like it. Memphis, I don't know. Weird.
All right, one more thing before we wrap up for tonight. Giannis is staying put in Milwaukee. Posted on social media. I really don't have much to say on this one. I mean, I think it goes back and forth, but he posted on social media the Wolf of Wall Street "I'm not leaving" scene. So it seems like he's excited to stay, but at the same time,
Is he?
no idea.
Are we sure?
I have no idea.
He's making me angry. We talked about this pre-show. I need to let it out, man. That this
Go ahead. Listen,
what
I have nothing. I'm just confused by the whole
we
thing.
were
Bottom line
just
is the
talking.
problem in Milwaukee is Doc Rivers. It's not Giannis. Go on.
We were just talking about Larry Fitzgerald and how we didn't hear a peep and he stayed in Arizona through all the bad times. Great. Giannis, if you don't want to be in Milwaukee, just say it. Come out and be blunt. Say, Coach, GM, I'm done. Trade me. Stop playing this. Well, I don't know if my future's in Milwaukee and I'd like to weigh my options, but if you don't trade me, it's okay. But if you do trade me, I wouldn't mind. No. Pick a lane, Giannis. Yes or no? Do you want to be in Milwaukee? You shouldn't want to be in Milwaukee. Some of it has to do with Doc Rivers. I also think you've accomplished every possible thing that you can accomplish already in Milwaukee. You won an MVP, or 2 maybe, I don't remember, and you won a championship in Milwaukee. You're good, dude. Nobody in that city is going to be mad at you if you say, I'm done. And if they are, it's kind of on them. Because the first time LeBron left, I was mad. But then he came back and won a championship, and now I don't care because he got a ring. They are not going to care that you got a ring and some MVPs and some awesome years if you say, I want to go. And I love loyalty. It's a great thing. And loyalty is an incredible quality to have in any human being. But there comes to a point where loyalty has to, you have to put that to the wayside and say, what's best for my career as a basketball player? And you wasting the prime years of your career in Milwaukee are not working. Go ahead.
Damian Lillard never wanted to leave Portland, went to Milwaukee.
Yeah. And look what
Went back
happened.
to Portland.
He
Never got
wasted
to
his whole
Portland.
career in Portland, didn't win anything. And yeah, he's going to be, what is he, the top 2 trailblazer of all time?
Yeah.
Great. And that's awesome. And I think that's really cool.
But the way the Trailblazers are now, he comes back next year, and that could be a different situation.
But like, I feel like Dame kind of did the same thing with Portland, where it was like, I kind of want to be here, but I kind of don't. But I'm not going to say that I don't because I don't want to be the bad guy.
The fact he immediately went back to Portland after Milwaukee, I think, is a saying he never wanted to leave Portland.
No, and I don't think he ever did. And I give him the utmost respect and credit for never wanting to leave Portland. I really do. And I think he did the right thing going to Milwaukee and trying to win a ring with Giannis, and I get it. But it's admirable that you want to stay. And I think that's awesome, especially in a small market. That's very admirable. But I'm really tired of this. I don't think I want to stay. And then you don't get traded. And the minute after the deadline, you make that tweet and you're like, I don't want to leave. I'm going to recruit or whatever he said. He said something really stupid. Okay, A, you're not recruiting to Milwaukee, dog. That's not going to happen. You guys don't have any money and nobody wants to go play there. The only reason they want to play there is you. But that doesn't change anything. You also could just say, so I'm just
Or
confused.
you fire Doc Rivers, which would be another great thing.
That would
I'll keep
help. I think that would
emphasizing
also help.
that's the one thing they need to do, and they
Here's what
won't
they
do it.
should do. This offseason, trade Giannis, fire Doc Rivers, and if he doesn't walk in free agency, awesome. Then you're just going to have Giannis on a not good roster because you haven't built around him in a long time,
All
and you've
right, and
tried.
that's it for the NBA tonight. We're going to wrap up Raw Takes and Company with one more thing.
Frustrating.
I love DK Metcalf. He wants us to talk about the Cleveland Crunch. I see they win a lot of games, but I don't know too much about soccer. Do you have
It's-
anything, Jake?
no, I don't. I was going to ask, is that the soccer team? So
Sure.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I love
I,
DK
I love
Metcalf.
DK Metcalf. We love you. Keep commenting.
I've
Can't help
noticed
you.
about him that he likes the teams in Cleveland that nobody else cares about, and I respect him for that. Um, he posts a lot about the Charge. So I don't know if he works for the Charge. I don't know if because he might,
I like the Charge. I mean, I pay a little bit more attention to
no
the Charge than the
disrespect,
Crunch.
you he might be the only person I know that's an actual Charge fan. So, but more
I don't
power to you,
know.
bro.
I
I love
like
it.
watching the Charge. I mean, I've been to a
I've
couple Charge
never
games.
Matthew Stafford wins the MVP, by the way. So that's
All right,
awesome.
breaking news there. Yes, Matthew Stafford deserves it. Great for his legacy, and we're all happy for him.
I'm just saying. So I think it's great that he roots for the Crunch and the Charge, and he's probably a monster. He's probably a monster super fan, I would assume, and a Steelers fan, which is awesome. That's crazy. But whatever, bro. Keep posting the Charge on your story. I love the score updates.
I
I do check them.
I
Sorry that I just we
I
did
wish I
out
had anything to
exactly. We know
say.
who it. We
I
know
love
exactly
DK
who it is,
Metcalf as
but
one of my best friends.
he's
So
a good dude. I've never met him, but he posts on his Instagram story once a week, twice a week, the Charge, and I'm like, great. I didn't know they played today.
I don't
That's
know much
awesome.
about the Cleveland Crunch. I wish we could help you. I love DK Metcalf.
I really do.
We cannot this week, but we appreciate your comment, and we will educate ourselves a little bit more on soccer so we could talk a little bit more Cleveland Crunch with you
Can
eventually.
you comment on this one who your favorite player on the Charge is? And if it's not Tristan Enaruma, then I don't want to hear it.
I love DK Metcalf. We have a challenge for you. Comment on this video who your favorite player
Oh,
is.
I know
We'll
mine.
respond next
I
week.
actually have a good answer. Mine's Killian Hayes. So that guy's awesome. Let me know, D. I almost called him by his real name. That would have been bad. I was just dossed him.
All right. Thank you. I love DK Metcalf as always. And I think that's it for this week's edition of Raw Takes and Company.
That's it. That's all I got. Shout out. Oh, I do have to give a quick shout out to the University of Portland, the Pilots. Um, they won their first game against a top 10 opponent in school history and beat Gonzaga for the first time in 11 years. So, as 22.5 point favorite, underdogs, awesome game. Love college basketball. That was a cool win. Shout out to you guys.
And that's it for today's edition of Raw Takes and Co. Jake, thank you very much. Great job as always. I'm Andrew Hody. Matthias will be back with us next week.
Miss
Here.
you, Matthias.
We miss you, Matthias. He'll be back with us next week to react to the big game. And we'll go over some more sports news then. Have a good one, everybody.